Beyond the screens, past the pings, and deeper than the noise of today, there is a frequency that never fades. It is the sound of a voice telling a truth that was true 1,000 years ago and will be true 1,000 years from now. These are the narratives that shaped civilizations, the legends that whispered to our ancestors, and the stories that still live inside us, waiting to be woken up. In a world that moves too fast, we are taking a moment to sit still, to breathe, to co create a world using nothing but the air between us and the power of your imagination. I, Rashmi Shetty, am your host, and this is Once Upon a Time Stories that have stood the test of time. Let's begin. Today's story is on Rabindranath Tagore, whose 165th birth anniversary it is on May 7th, 2026. He is also known as Banu Simha, a Bengali polymath. That means a poet, a writer, a playwright, a composer, a philosopher, and social reformer, all in one. In the sprawling, high ceilinged corridors of the Jorasanko mansion in Calcutta, the air was perpetually thick with the sounds of the Bengal Renaissance. It was here on May 7th, 1861, that the 13th surviving child of the illustrious Tagore family was born, Rabindranath, affectionately known as Rabi. While his father, the reformer Debendranath, was often away on distant travels, his mother, Sarada Devi, passed away during his early childhood. Rabi's world was far from empty. He was raised in a nest of giants, a household that functioned more like a vibrant cultural lab than a traditional home. The Tagore family lived at the cutting edge of art, politics, and philosophy. To grow up in such a setup was to be tutored by the very architects of modern Indian thought. Debendranath was his elder brother, who was a deep thinking philosopher and poet. Satyendranath, his other brother, a trailblazer who became the first Indian to join the elite Indian civil service. Another brother, Jyotindranath, was a versatile musician and a playwright, along with his wife, Kadambari Devi, and they provided the young Rabi with his most profound creative encouragement. His sister, Swarna Kumari, was a pioneering novelist in her own right. So young Rabi's education did not come from books. It was absorbed through the people and through the walls of the mansion. There was classical mastery which happened thanks to the professional Drupad musicians who lived within the house, filling the halls with the rigorous beauty of Indian classical music. The family run magazines and theatrical recitals blurred the lines between Bengali tradition and Western classical influence. In this atmosphere of constant rehearsal and intellectual debate, Rabi began to find the voice that would eventually resonate across the globe. It was in late 19th century. Rabindranath sat by a window in his mansion, watching the monsoon rain blur the world outside. While his family buzzed with the business of the British Raj, Rabi was a rebel to the core. To him, the four walls of a traditional classroom felt like a cage. He did not want to memorize facts. He wanted to catch something deeper, the rustling of the banyan trees, the stories that the wind whispered in his ears. His journey was never a straight line. As a young man, he was sent to manage his family's river estate in what is now Bangladesh. Living on a houseboat, he watched the Padma River flow, observing the simple, profound lives of the villagers. It was here that he realized true leadership isn't about power, it is about the inner connect. He began to write stories like Kabuliwala, which was bridging the gap between the rugged Afghan fruit seller and a little girl, proving that the language of the heart is a universal one. In 1901, he turned his back on the city's noise and moved to Shantiniketan. He dreamt of a school without walls, where students learned under the canopy of trees. He believed that it's important for this kind of an education, so intertwined with nature, that before you can lead the world, you must first find the peace within yourself. But the world soon came knocking. In 1912, while sailing to England, he translated a collection of poems called Gitanjali. Those song offerings hit the West like a tidal wave of calm in a world that was bracing close to the World War. A year later, he became the first non European to win the Nobel Prize in Literature. Suddenly, the boy who hated school was the teacher to the world. Yet, he felt that the fame was very hollow. It didn't serve justice. When the British forces committed the horrific Jallianwala Bagh massacre in 1919, he did something which was unthinkable. By then, he was knighted by the British government, which means he got the title Sir. He chose presence over prestige. And standing in silent, powerful protest, he returned his knighthood. He became the Gurudev to Mahatma Gandhi, the man who named Gandhi the great soul, even as he warned that a loving country should never mean hating the rest of the world. As he entered the last few years, his creative signal never flickered. He began to paint raw, haunting images, composed over 2,000 songs that eventually become the national anthems of the two separate nations. He taught us that a life well lived is like a human library, a collection of stories, failures, triumphs that find their ultimate harmony in service to others. The story of Shantiniketan is perhaps the most profound chapter in Tagore's life, representing his shift from a man of words to a man of action. It did not begin as a grand building, but with a radical vision of what it means to truly grow. Tagore never forgot the factory style schools of his childhood: dark rooms, rigid benches, and the teacher who demanded memorization. He felt that the traditional education was a tombstone for imagination. He dreamt about a place where a child's internal curiosity was nurtured by the external world. And this is when he turned the quiet patch that his father had originally purchased for a meditation retreat and named it Shantiniketan, or Abode of Peace. With only 5 students, including his own son, and a handful of teachers, Rabindranath Tagore began his experiment. He did away with the physical and mental barriers of traditional schooling. Classrooms happened under the trees. He believed that nature was the greatest teacher. Lessons were held under the canopy of mango groves, allowing students to witness the physics of presence in the natural world, the swaying branches, the migration of birds, and the changing light of the sun. He included the power of arts. Music, dance, painting were not extracurricular activities, they were essential. He believed that to connect inward, one had to express themselves through more than just logic and numbers. His songs like Ekla Chalore became anthems for freedom fighters. He invited scholars and artists from across the globe to live and work in Shantiniketan. He wanted his students to be world citizens, rooted in their own culture, but with windows open to every other culture. In 1921, using his Nobel Prize money and the proceeds from his global lecture tours, Rabindranath Tagore expanded the school into the Vishwa Bharati University. He took leadership insights from nature to design the campus, ensuring that the architecture and daily life were grounded in sustainability and simplicity. Even today, the university remains a living testament to his belief that education is not about filling a bucket, but about lighting a fire. Starting Shantiniketan was Tagore's way of proving that authority doesn't have to be loud or restrictive. True authority comes from creating a space where others can find their own resonance. By building this nest, he ensured that his philosophy of peace, creativity, and connection would continue to breathe long after his own voice fell silent. Rabindranath Tagore passed away on August 7th, 1941, just years before seeing India walk free. But he didn't leave behind just books or medals. He left behind a map. He showed us that whether you're a student, a poet, or a leader, your greatest work is to find your own internal signal. Live it so loudly that the world can't help but sing along with. Rabindranath Tagore's story tells us that we are all builders of bridges between nature and man, between the home and the world, and between who we are and who we are meant to be. With that, we complete our journey for today. I hope you enjoyed stepping into this story as much as I enjoyed telling it. But remember, a story only lives when it is shared. If these words touched you, please pass them on. Share this episode with someone who might need a moment of wonder today. In a digital world that can sometimes feel a little lonely, let this story be a beacon of smiles and a steady light of hope in your pocket. Let's catch up soon to listen to what happened once upon a time.